So, the time has come. I understand. Tail! Wings! Horns! Whoops, I need you too. Time to face the truth. If I had to put Spyro anywhere on my top favorite game series of all time, it would probably be Fighting Dragon Age for the top spot. When I was a kid, I would go and visit my grandparents on the weekend and hog the PlayStation as much as possible so I could mess around in Spyro Ripto's Rage. If the game had a how long you've played record, mine would probably say, do you even play other games? Or go outside, get a life. Seriously, we're worried about you. Is everything okay? I was still just a kid when the Legend of Spyro series came out. I was pretty stoked about it, actually. I mean, I had liked all the other games in the series, so this one couldn't be any different, right? Honestly, I actually do remember enjoying it a lot. I was a kid who liked Spyro. I wasn't paying attention to the controls and mechanics. I cared about the story. I rented A New Beginning, and I remember very clearly sitting in my room playing it to completion as fast as possible. I was fixated, and the ending boss was so heart-stopping. It was such an amazing feeling when I beat it. So coming back to play the DS version is possibly the worst way to ruin those memories. You know, one of these days, I'd really like to play a port that doesn't make me want to punch something. Let's start this off with something obvious. The art style. It's okay. It certainly has colors and shapes. However, if it's not interactable, it's not 3D. Backgrounds, foreground, platforms, all 2D. And none of it really stands out, which makes jumping across platforms or figuring out if an enemy is higher or lower up super frustrating. There were a couple of times where I could actually just stand on top of the map as well, so, you know, good job. The levels are also all very one color. The Spyro games of the past have super bright colors which make Spyro really pop out, and are just fairly pleasant and vibrant. This game uses bright colors, but rarely uses contrasting colors, making it sort of bland. There's also nothing in them. Using Ripto's Rage as my example, because it's the one I remember most fondly, in each level you had to collect a bunch of talismans and gems to complete the level. It was a fun collect-a-thon platformer with interesting characters and a unique sense of humor. This game has enemies. Just enemies. So many stupid enemies. And that's it! Any character they tried to introduce was so quickly placed that they fell flat of what they were supposed to do. I just didn't care. And there's nothing to collect. No gems lying around or crates to bash open to collect more. No talismans to obtain after certain objectives are met. The only thing you can collect are these white crystals, but the only thing they do is unlock extras and cheats. And they're all stuff that's just the boring part of the game. I don't want to just fight wave after wave of enemy if that's what I did the entire game. I don't want to play more puzzles because that's half of the game. I got bored of them. And why would I ever need cheats? You have to beat the game to get just 40 of them, and then play the extra puzzles to unlock the cheats. I don't want to replay the game. It's so pointless and boring. And that's the key word of the day. Boring. The game isn't bad, there's just nothing to do. It was a waste of time. Any interest I could have had in the story also fell short because of how fast it went by. I didn't care! The game never gave me enough time to truly enjoy the story it was trying to tell before it tossed me back into waves of boring enemies. Let's take a step back and figure out what the story is. The start of the game is okay. A dragon sends Spyro's egg down a river and is adopted by dragonflies. Easy. It starts us off with a tutorial on how to jump and how to attack. Cool. But I got hit when I went after the first enemy, so maybe I'll take a step back next time and let it attack before moving in. Okay, did 3 attacks, step back, and nothing. Okay, maybe I'm safe, and oh, good, I got hit. And this is how the game starts you off, by showing that you're going to get hit no matter what. That's great. The first cutscene you get is also so horribly off-putting and quick-paced that I thought I was having a fever dream. And sure, I could blame the acting, considering this is ripped straight from the console version. However, the console version has more in between all of this. So although the acting is a bit iffy, especially from David Spade, I mean, come on man, could you try at least a little bit?
You miserable coward, let me go!
The pacing at which all of this happens is scrunched down from 3 minutes to 5 seconds. And this big battle to save Sparks 2 is turned from a large tutorial on how to battle enemies to me burning 2 enemies before they flee. So, to save myself from having to get footage of the console version, let's take a look at this game as a standalone from now on. And oh my gosh, doing that makes all of this 10 times worse. Going through the game, we get stopped continuously by these glowing red roadblocks that will only go down after taking out all of the enemies. There are no branching paths, nothing to explore, and a boring drab sheet of yellow that made me a little nauseous. And these platforms are the perfect show of how bad the depth perception and parallax mapping is. Why couldn't they just make the platforms 3D so you know where you are? Why does everything have to be drawn? Like, the DS has some limitations, sure, but if Call of Duty can be ported onto the DS and people can say it's good, then you can make a 3D environment for a game that has nothing in it. I'm already tired, and we haven't even gotten to this second level yet. We keep trekking through the yellow brick road, stopping to take down enemy after enemy before Sparks flies ahead and finds the first character that I know I should care about, but I just don't. Also, the cutscene that introduces him is great because you can clearly see he's in some dark cave, but on the map he's right next to the temple that he apparently hasn't been back to since he sent Spyro down a river because he says,
Who knows what forces occupy the temple now?
like you're right next to it. How do you not know? It also gives you a very brief cutscene of a giant dragon statue that is never brought up again. What was the point? Like, ooh, statue, it might have meaning. Haha, JK, it's just a waste of time. Your goal is to free the other 3 guardian dragons, all masters of different elemental attacks. Ignitus, the red dragon, is the first one you meet, and he sends you off to these other lands in hopes of finding Voltaire, Cyril, and Terrador before the big bad Cinder destroys them. The first level alone can tell you all you need to know. This port was rushed. It had to have been. Empty barren lands overrun with repetitive enemies with no tactics other than blast them with breath attacks, and a story that is there, but is condensed into an incoherent mess. I can't rightfully believe anything else. If you remove the enemies, remove the barrier stopping you from progressing until you beat up said enemies, this game can't take longer than 30 minutes to run through. It's just a straight path right to the end. It's so bland. I could talk about all of the other levels, but they're all the same. You get a different breath power, run through a boring corridor filled with cookie-cutter enemies, and beat a cookie-cutter boss that takes way too long to bring down with no skill or strategy required. The only difference is that in 2 of the levels, the Tall Plains and Munitions Forge, you are introduced to characters that are supposed to help you reach the end and free the guardian dragon that has been captured there. But their introductions are so quick and mishandled that they fell flat in being even remotely interesting. There's no reason to care. There's no reason to being here. I don't need a guy telling me where to go. This whole world is just one long line to the boss. The boss fights are also super annoying as well. Spyro follows a track around the boss, and you have to just hold down on the touchscreen to charge up an attack and let go to release a barrage of, I don't know, electric bullets, I guess? But because Spyro is on a track, sometimes he goes behind pillars or statues, which means if you let go right beforehand, your bullets hit the barrier instead. Also, please just look at this. Yeah, that makes sense. The only change in pace is these puzzles that show up every now and again, but honestly, who cares? If they don't unlock a door, they give you a crystal for use in the extras menu. There's no other purpose, and it's frustrating that this is the only other thing other than fighting. And boy, did I hate fighting! First of all, there's no dash attack. I mean, since there's no reason to go back, I guess it doesn't matter, but honestly, it's such a big deal when I'm trying to run away and the enemies are faster than me. They could have used it to stun enemies in their place for a second, but that would have meant work for them, wouldn't it? Second, all of your melee attacks are useless. They do little to no damage, and getting close to enemies means you will get hit, no matter what you do. The only time you need it is when your breath meter runs out, and it sucks when that happens, and you're surrounded by way too many enemies that even the move that's supposed to save you from that is useless. Otherwise, a level 3 breath attack will take out all enemies in no time at all. It's almost pitiful. Most of the time, it's wave after wave of enemies. But other times, there are so many enemies on screen, you can barely keep up with what's going on. And other times, you can be so fast at taking down enemies that you have to wait for more of them to spawn in. It's so frustrating on either side because you're either being bullied within an inch of your life because, surprise, surprise, you can't attack while you're getting hit, or you're bullying the enemies by blasting them the minute they're warped into existence. It's so stupid. And this is the whole game! Even the final boss. The final boss is the same as all of the others, except there's more flying. My favorite part is when you fly after them into another dimension, fly back out of said dimension, and do nothing. The entire time that's happening. It's so pointless and a waste of time. This entire game is a waste of time, and I hate it. And what do I get for playing through this nightmare they dare to call a Spyro game? That's it! That's it! Just some drums playing the same repetitive beat over and over again. Not even a slideshow as the credits roll past. Just... You get one final cutscene if you sit through all of the boring credits, and it's just to set you up for the next game in the trilogy. This game leaves such an awful taste in my mouth. I hate that this game wasn't good. I hate that they had the audacity to call this a Spyro game, and I hate that they had the nerve to make more. I remember spending a lot of time just swimming around in Ripto's Rage. It didn't accomplish anything, but I found it to be a lot of fun. Swimming would probably be like half of my playtime.